Honorable Chair, I'm presenting SB 1443. As we go around our districts and listen to our constituents, certainly during the break and at various events, one thing that I've noticed recently is the rise in the concern about school violence that we've witnessed throughout the United States. In this world of uncertainty, one thing we know for certain is that it's not a question of if, it's just a matter of when the next tragic episode of school violence will occur. I know local school districts have the ability to raise funds and can allocate state funds with various amounts of flexibility, but currently there is no specific fund within the state for purchasing safety equipment and measures such as metal detectors for schools. So SB 1443 would establish a pilot program in Riverside County. This bill is entirely permissive and is not a mandate. If the Riverside County Office of Education chose to participate, it would allow the office to raise private funds in order to buy metal detectors for its schools within its jurisdictions. If the office were able to raise the threshold of $900,000, the state would assist with its own funds of $100,000 or 10%. There would be a review of the program within 10 years to judge the efficacy of the program and would sunset in 6 years. We are all looking for ways to make our schools safer, and this is just one small way to accomplish this goal. For those reasons, I would respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Any witnesses support or folks who want to voice their support for the bill?
Not just me.
All right, seeing none, folks who want to voice opposition or raise concerns about the bill? You can come up here. Good morning, Senator. Let's first call a quorum. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're not a 5-member committee. We almost were. Yeah. All right, good to see you, Senator. We're here on item 1. This is SB 1443, Senator Stone. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Kathy Scher for the ACLU of California. We respectfully oppose SB 1443, and I apologize for us not being able to get a letter in on time. We all agree that school safety is essential and that the mission of educating our children has to start by providing a safe place to learn. We believe that putting more metal detectors in schools is the wrong way to achieve this end. Metal detectors don't reduce the risk of violent behavior. Instead, by creating an atmosphere where students feel suspected and unsafe, they reduce the trust between students and the adults at school. And this means that students are less likely to report actual threats and school personnel less able to address those threats. I want to talk a little bit about the Los Angeles Unified School District, which has a large and long-standing program for use of metal detectors. In LA Unified, they've been conducting metal detector searches of individual students since 1993. The existing policy which mandates that every middle and high school conduct these searches was adopted in 2011. Students are taken out of classes for supposedly random searches. They miss class time to be searched. They have to spread their arms and legs to be wanded, and their belongings are also subject to search. Predictably, students report that they feel anxious and violated when they are subject to search, and that the searches make them less able to trust the adults at their schools. Yet there's little apparent benefit. The ACLU's review of search logs from the 2013-14 and 15-16 school years showed that in the over 100,000 searches conducted, not a single gun was found. Weapons are much more likely to be found and confiscated when students come forward to report information to adults on campus, reports that happen less frequently when trust between students and adults is eroded. I note that the funding from this bill could be used to fund handheld metal detectors, as I read it, in addition to stationary ones at school entrances. Just yesterday, the Los Angeles City Attorney's Blue Ribbon Panel on School Safety issued its comprehensive report on school safety, which I recommend to you. It's an interesting report on a number of topics, but among its other recommendations, it recommended that LA Unified suspend its metal detector search policy. The report stressed the need for enhanced mental health resources for students and the need for students to feel connected to adults at schools as ways to reduce violence. Metal detectors stationed at school entrances can also be problematic. In New York City, In many schools, students pass through metal detectors to enter school and then are often subject to additional bag searches and pat-downs in the process. They arrive at school feeling like they are automatically under suspicion. They often lose class time due to the lines at the metal detectors. These burdens fall disproportionately on students of color who are more likely to attend the schools with permanent metal detectors. This is not a model that we should be seeking to replicate in California. Too often, our response to issues of school safety focuses on ways to impose tighter controls. The results are schools that feel more like prisons, where every day young people walk through the doors and hear loud and clear the message that they are seen as suspects, not as learners, and that they are entering a place that is not safe for them. The result, as the research shows, is to make the students feel less safe and make them less able to learn. If we want safe schools, we need to make our schools into welcoming and inclusive places that support the social and emotional health of the students. Let's focus on providing schools with the resources they need to do that, rather than investing in expensive measures that will make things worse. We ask for your no vote.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other folks who want to raise concerns about the bill? All right, I note the presence of a quorum. If you please call a quorum.
Allen.
Here.
Allen here. Wilk.
Present.
Wilk here. Galgiani. Leyva. McGuire. Pan.
Here.
Pan here. Vidak. Vidak here.
All right, the quorum is present. Okay, so we're now at the stage where people can ask questions about the bill. Questions from the committee, thoughts? Yes, Mr. Vice Chair?
Thank you. So I got a couple questions, Senator. First of all, this is a pilot program, correct?
Correct.
Only in Riverside County.
That's right.
I'm assuming you've talked to your local people and they're supportive of the concept.
The Riverside County Office of Education is, I would say, somewhat lukewarm on it right now. We fortunately haven't had any incidents in Riverside County, and I don't wish that we have any incidents anywhere in the country. And while I respect the ACLU indicating that they don't want the kids to feel like they're going into a prison by going into a school, I'll remind this committee that we're the second most visited institution in the state of California. We have over 1 million visitors that come here. They go through metal detectors. We live in a new normal. We live in a new normal. We're told all the time in many of our committees that we have climate change, we have fires, and we have to adjust to a new normal. We have a new normal in the United States of America where kids cannot go to school and be guaranteed that there's not a child that is going into that school with a gun that they stole from their parents' safe, or where they keep their gun safely. And parents in my district want to ensure that when their kids go to school that they are going into an environment where there is no weapons. I'm going to be working with the Board of Education pending the passage of this bill today, if it is to pass, to stress the importance of it, and I plan on actively being engaged in the fundraising so that we don't use scarce dollars at the school district that could be used for books and other things to pay for these metal detectors. I guess, in my view, what is the value of a child's life? I think it's worth the investment in a pilot program. If it saves one life, I think it's accomplished its goal as a pilot program for the rest of the state and, frankly, for the rest of the country to embrace. So I go to bed at night, like many of you, concerned about issues of the state of California and ways in which we can make life better and safer for our kids and our adults. And this is a issue that has been pressing on me and my kids as we discuss these issues, is what can we do to help make the schools safer for our kids so that we don't have to live the nightmare that many other communities are living in. So I believe with the potential passing of this, if it were to go forward, that I could very easily persuade the Board of Education that this is a very important program, and certainly getting parental involvement and ensuring that they show their support for the program.
And then, so just to reiterate, so this also is permissive, and it's as
Correct.
well as there's a sunset on it.
That is correct.
Great. I personally agree with a lot of what the opposition said in terms of things we need to do, but the fact of the matter is, if you read our Constitution, schools are guaranteed to be safe, And let's be honest, they're not safe. I think many senators, I go and I speak to 4th graders, 8th graders, and 12th graders. One of the questions I ask is if you could introduce a law, what would it be? And last year was out in Hesperia, rural area, right? You would think safe. And I had a 4th grader raise her hand, very enthusiastic, and said, metal detectors at our school. That never ever crossed my mind when I was a 4th grader. And you're right, we have a new normal now, and it's unfortunate. But in terms of protecting our kids, I think we have to have all of the above approach. So we need to have the investments in mental health and build better families, and I agree with all that. But this is just another layer of protection to keep our kids safe. And I agree with you that even if it's one child, it's worth it. When it's appropriate, I would like to move the bill.
Thank you very much.
Senator Pan.
Thank you, and Senator Stone, I appreciate your interest in student safety, and I know it's something that health and safety is something that you care very much about. I guess the first question I have is that just reading the analysis and knowing that there's other school districts like LA Unified School District, which is a pretty big school district, already have metal detectors. Why do we need a bill to do this? Can't the school district or the county office of education already do this if they wish to?
I think it's sending a message that the state of California recognizes that there's a problem and that we're not going to stand back idly and allow a potential incident to happen. We seem to be very reactive in California and in the United States, and we wait for the incident to happen before we
just
engage.
to clarify, if there wasn't a bill or a law, could they still put metal detectors in the school?
If they could garner the resources to do it, but this is also providing a state incentive to partner with them and basically covering 10% of the cost of those metal detectors as an incentive for them to raise the
Okay,
money.
so this actually requires that the state give additional money?
That's correct.
Okay. And then the other question is, I heard about this is a pilot and so forth, except we have schools that already do it, and I've heard that the results weren't really all that great. So, because it's,
How many kids were killed in LA County schools as a result of having metal detectors? I think the answer is 0. So I would say retrospectively that it has been successful. Yes, it might be a little bit invasive if you have to warn somebody if they come through a metal detector and it sounds an alarm. But the bottom line is how many kids have been killed and 0.
Well, actually, we wanted to do a comparison to a school district that didn't have one to a school district that did. So, and then I guess the other question I have is that you install a metal detector, it doesn't just stand alone, you have to staff it. So, so it takes ongoing staff resources as well, correct? Is this helping fund that as well, or is it just equipment?
Most school districts, certainly in Riverside County, have sworn officers that are on those campuses providing safety. So I would assume as a part of their responsibilities prior to school opening and people coming onto the campus that they would be manned by them or their associates.
Okay, but I also heard in your previous answer that at least at this point in time, your local county office of education heard was lukewarm. I think that's the words you used about this proposal.
They are.
Okay.
But again, I haven't had the chance because we've been kind of busy here except for the last month to be able to sit down with each of the board members and explain the importance of what we're trying to accomplish here today. Again, my argument is going to be we don't want to wait for the incident to happen. We want to be preventive. This is extremely non-invasive. It is voluntary. If the school district doesn't want to put up the money to get the state matching funds, if they don't want to redirect their public safety apparatus to operate these, they don't have to participate. But at least we can say that the state of California offered the resources and the leadership to try to make the schools safer in the event that an incident does in fact happen.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate what you're trying to do. I guess, normally I would view something like this, as a pilot. It's in your own district. But usually when someone brings district bills, they've already gotten support from their locals who said, we also want it, and I'm partnering with them to make this happen. I'm a little uncomfortable about the idea that, first of all, they could, if they wanted to, still start even without this law or this bill. And then, I mean, I appreciate you're going to go talk to them, but I sort of feel like that should happen first. And if they're on board, they come and they say, we're working with Senator Stone, and we need this to make this thing happen that our community has all coalesced around and so forth. And I have to admit that would make me much more comfortable about it, especially since we're also committing the state to put some funding into this as well. So.
As we know, this, we often, as elected officials, have what we call knee-jerk reactions, and to many bills that come to fruition. This is one of those where this idea came into mind after a recent shooting, so there hasn't been the time to reach out. Unfortunately, we just had a month's break, but during that month's break, everybody goes on vacation. So after we're through here August 31st, I'll be able to make my rounds, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least bring the bill forward and try to do what I can to help achieve better student safety.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Senator Leyva.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. Senator Stone, I very much appreciate you bringing something forward that will hopefully help ensure the safety of our children. I'm going to support the bill today. I do have some concerns. First, just editorializing, I want to say what a sad state of affairs that we are in, that we have to think about having metal detectors at our schools. I think there's things we can do on the outside with guns and whatnot, but we do live in a very weaponized society. Everybody wants to own their gun, and they don't care if children die. My concern is that we won't catch everything. You know, now that we have 3D guns that are, you know, we've just all seen that on the news, and I don't know if a plastic gun would get caught going through there. I don't know if that would work. We have drones. Someone could bring those in. So I think there's a lot of other things that we need to look at. And I also want to make sure if this bill passes and signed into law that it will be applied fairly. It will be all of your schools in your Senate district?
This would be just in the Riverside County districts, yes.
Riverside County District, okay.
And a pilot program.
Okay, and I want to make sure, I think sometimes that we do these things and we automatically look to the schools that are low income, and we think that our low income kids are our problem, but high income kids can be a problem too. So I just want to make sure that it's applied fairly and evenly. What's that? Okay, sorry. So I will support the bill today. I do have a few concerns, but I do share with you the idea that we need to keep our kids safe, and we need to try and do everything we can. Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to just ask a couple questions of our witness in opposition. So let's play a little devil's advocate. These programs are allowed under current law. LAUSD has a metal detector program. So I would totally understand if you were here testifying in support of a bill that would ban metal detectors statewide or something like that. But what's wrong with this? You just generally oppose metal detector programs in schools and don't want to do anything that would help to expand their use?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are other things that we need to do to increase school safety, and that spending the state's money on metal detectors is the wrong way to go. Any money that's spent on school safety, we believe it would be better spent elsewhere, both in terms of actual increased safety and in terms of respecting the rights of students and creating the right kind of school environment for learning.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, so you're not proposing any amendments. It's just a
No, we're
flat-out
just,
opposition.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little torn about this. I do agree with much of what's been said. I think if for me, it would seem more compelling if we were hearing from your county office of education that they were very interested in pursuing something like this. And I understand that the evidence is a little mixed about the impact, but there are certainly some reports that suggest that it could actually have a detrimental impact on students' perceptions of safety. But it seems as though there's a bit of a mix in the literature, which makes it difficult to evaluate.
And Mr. Chair, it's only a pilot program.
Yeah, I understand
To
that.
embrace it, if it proves to be successful, maybe it could help in the state to prevent a loss of life of a child. So
Yeah.
that's the motivation behind the bill.
Yeah, okay. My personal plan is to lay off the first round. There's a conversation I want to have with staff about a couple aspects of this bill, and so and then I'll, based on those conversations, make a decision as to how I'm going to vote later. But we made our recommendation, your call. I totally agree. I think ultimately it's a pilot. It's only going to happen if the money is raised. What is your plan for the fundraising? How does that work? Because the idea is that you're going to put forward $100,000 from the state general appropriation, then somehow we're going to come up with $900,000.
That's only going to be allocated in the event that the school district raises $900,000. So I will be out in the community with the school district, actually raising awareness of the need for this type of security, and we will raise the money privately. We're not looking to use taxpayer funds for the $900,000. I have some donors that I think would be happy to step up to the plate in the best interest of school safety.
Okay. Okay. All right. Other questions, thoughts from the committee? It's been moved by Senator Wilk. If you'd like to close, Senator.
Thank you for your consideration. Again, what is the value of one child's life?
Yeah.
We save one life by having these metal detectors in. Should the school districts embrace the concept and put them in, I think we have done what we can to preserve those lives, and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay. So it's been moved. Secretary, please call roll.
Item 1, SB 1443. The motion is due pass to appropriations. Allen? Wilk?
Aye.
Wilk, aye. Galgiani?
Aye.
Galgiani, aye. Leyva?
Aye.
Leyva, aye. McGuire? Pan? Vidak?
Aye.
Vidak, aye.
Okay, so we're going to put that on call, and thank you to both of you
Thank
for
you for your
coming in.
consideration.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Senator.